is your new moon in Gemini outlook for June 14th, 2026. So on June 14th, we have the new moon in Gemini at 24 degrees, and it's now well a bit past the unexpected planet of Uranus. So likely just before this new moon in Gemini, there were some very unexpected developments with regards to communication, travel, and so on. However, we are now on the new moon in Gemini on June 14th. And what is Gemini? Gemini is the third house. Yes, it is all about versatility, communications, it is about the internet, travel, and it is not so much how we say something, which is the second house, which is more connected with the sign of Taurus, but it is connected with what is said. And in the case of Gemini, Gemini is kind of fast and furious. We really want to speak our minds right now. And Gemini kind of lends here a sense of positivity, kind of a sense of fun and adventure. And we're feeling right now rather kind of lighthearted because that's Gemini. Gemini doesn't like to get too serious here, but that's all too good with this kind of summery energy here with lighthearted Gemini. So, Gemini is at 24 degrees and it is making somewhat of a semi-sextile to Jupiter, not excuse me, a semi-square, that is, to Jupiter in Cancer because Gemini is almost late and Cancer is very soon to be trending right into the sign of Leo. Yes, indeed. So, with this semi square with that Gemini new moon and Jupiter in Cancer, well, because we are feeling rather positive, and this semi square, even though it is a semi square and not a full square, it's giving us this feeling that, well, no matter what, everything is going to work out. And as with squares, or in this case, a semi square with Jupiter, and Jupiter is all about luck and prosperity, we're going to have to watch a little bit of what we say and a little bit of our pocketbook because, again, that's what Jupiter in Cancer is about, and because especially it rules the second house of money. But something is making us feel rather positive, like nothing can go wrong. And we'll also have to watch what we say here because, well, there really isn't technically a square too much. Well, actually, there is, come to think of it here, 24 and 18 degrees of Gemini and Mercury. Kind of a wide semi square between the new moon and Mercury, and because this is also a semi square to Jupiter, which is also about expansion, it's also about what we have to say to some degree as well, because we've got Mercury in the mix, and Mercury is the communicator. We'll have to watch so we don't stumble over our words now, because Jupiter, even with just a half square, is giving us that sense that we can just speak our mind and we're feeling good. We've got this Gemini new moon now, and it's kind of about, as all new moons, about fresh beginnings. And because we have Mercury here as a now a wide semi square, half a square, we're going to have to not be too direct. We don't want to just blurt out what we think because that could really run into some issues here with this semi square with Mercury, the communicator and also the depositor of this Gemini new moon. And and with expansive Jupiter at 26 degrees of Cancer as well. So might be a great time. We could find some really good deals if we're looking for some discounts, for example. That might be really good. And we're feeling a little peppy now. So this positivity is going to make us spend a little bit more than we should. But because we are feeling good, just tone down what you have to say. Your speech, you want to just kind of just speak more softly, you could say here. And of course, we've got Mars, the planet of action in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus Mars really isn't making any negative aspects, which is really good. Mars, the planet of action, is now past retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. So the friction from the last full moon is still lingering a little bit, but at least some of the combativeness and the bullying and some of the displays of anger, if you will, are a little bit out of the way now. But it is a little bit of some tension there because although this is now a minor aspect between Pluto and Mars, we have to keep in mind by sign Pluto is in Aquarius retrograde and Mars is in Taurus. So yes, that could up the tension in the atmosphere, honestly, but the real need to be very confrontational, very feisty, has kind of dissipated at this time, which is really good. And also now there is also a semi sextile with Taurus Mars and the new moon in Gemini, and that's more of a positive connection here. So that kind of leads me to believe we are using more of our expression, which is very much Mercury and Gemini, very intelligently because of this very positive connection with the semi sextile with both Mars and Taurus and the new moon. So that's really good. That kind of gives us a little bit of sensibility. We are taking right action, so to speak. So on one hand, we don't want to be too blunt because we're just kind of feeling lighthearted right now and everything's going to work out. And that's where the semi-square can kind of blind us. And then we have the semi-sextile with Mars and Taurus with the new moon. So that kind of helps us to maybe pull back a little bit on taking hasty actions from really becoming more argumentative and defensive. Now it's about taking the cerebral or the intelligent approach and focusing more. It's kind of like transmuting the drive of this Mars and Taurus into right action, like you're focused and very determined, very stubborn about what you have in mind. Now, keep in mind this connection with Mars and Taurus and this semi-sextile with the new moon is going to depend on your own personal birth chart. Yes, but nonetheless, the sense here is that we are applying our energy correctly, like focused on our ambitions, focused more about ourselves. It's more of an inward connection than an outward connection that we are kind of angry or attacking each other. It's more or less taking that stubborn outlook and really channeling it well. Our goals, our aspirations, kind of digging in and kind of helping each other. So there's a positive connection here with this Mars and Taurus. We really may be stubborn or fixed about our opinions and about our actions, what we want to do. But in this case, right now with Mars and Taurus, and the semi-sextile with the new moon in Gemini, it's all about making plans and really finding the determination to stick to it. That's a wonderful connection with Mars in Taurus. Yes. And of course, we now have Venus, the planet of love and affection, in very barely there, 1 degree, Venus in Leo. And Venus really likes to be in Leo. It's very kind of showy, it's very affectionate, and this is good. Now, Jupiter is going to be going into Leo, and it's not quite, but almost late at 27 degrees here, 2650. You could kind of say somewhat of a barely there conjunction with very affectionate Venus in Leo. So right now it's all gonna be about the show, how we express ourselves romantically. We may be feeling because we have this sense of uh, nothing can go wrong, especially with regards to our money or making money. Maybe we're going to get some good news here, and you have kind of somewhat of a wide conjunction with the happy expansive planet of Jupiter with Venus. So yes, we want to really express our romantic side. We want to maybe give a little bit of our generosity. You might find yourself or those closest to you really kind of just randomly acting rather generously, and that's really positive. And especially because you have nearly an exact sextile here with air and fire with Venus, the planet of the unexpected. So the weird, wonderful, and unusual is going to occur or be discussed in all kinds of relationships, but especially here with regarding love. Absolutely. And it's all about expect the unexpected in all relationships. And I always make it a point to say this just isn't with love relationships, although Venus is in Leo, but it's about family. It might be if there's been some tension in your family or even work connections, work relationships. You might suddenly, Uranus here, you might find that now you can really open up and clear the air with somebody, especially if there's some tension, because Venus, keep in mind, in Leo here is one to be extremely heartfelt and expressive, and with that connection with Uranus, which is really a beautiful connection between Venus in Leo and Uranus in Gemini, it really helps us to get off our chest what we want to say, but in a positive light. So this is very good. This is kind of unexpected. Like I said, if there has been some tension or conflict, that connection between Venus and Uranus really helps us to kind of find a very creative or unusual ways of kind of reigniting a flame within a relationship, which is also kind of unexpected. Don't be surprised maybe if those from the past suddenly, there's that word again, Uranus, reappear, or you find that maybe whatever has been kind of dull, or whatever connections and communications with those that you really care about suddenly kind of come alive again. Relationships that were going stale Now, wow, you found some kind of new air in those communications and those connections. So this is a really nice sextile between Venus and Uranus for sure. And to some degree here, we've got Neptune. Yes, as always, nebulous Neptune, the deceiver here at 4 degrees of Aries. And that kind of makes within about a 3 degrees sextile, excuse me, better yet, a trine here with Venus in Leo. So that also kind of like the sextile between Uranus and Venus kind of helps us to see the truth, because remember, Neptune has a tendency sometime to kind of deceive or to conceal the truth. And with this sextile with Neptune here at 4 degrees Aries, I'm sorry, I got to say it again, the trine, getting lost in the sextiles here. The trine between Uranus at 4 degrees of Aries and almost 2 degrees Venus in Leo, that helps us to kind of uncover secrets. And yes, because we're talking the sextile to Venus, yes, is there some hidden information that we wanted to get to the bottom of? Or some secret that we needed to have revealed to us? Well, suddenly we may find something that is hidden or that's been rather mysterious suddenly become an open book. Like, finally, I found the answers. Oh, okay. So that's how this person feels about us. So there's a certain clarity there now with this trine between Venus, the planet of love, and a little bit of the deceiver, Neptune in Aries. So this is really good. Kind of like with the last forecast with the full moon in Sagittarius. It's like the cards are on the table. Well, that's kind of how it is with Venus and Neptune right now. We feel like we uncovered some information, and or someone finally decides to be straight with us. So I guess this is kind of good. Kind of takes away a little bit of that shadiness with Venus and, well, Neptune here. And of course, Saturn is still in the sign also of Aries at 13 degrees. And Aries, let's see here. Now, it does make a bit of a square, a wide square Saturn with Mercury. So, because of that square, we can have a tendency, especially because we're talking about Saturn, which kind of creates delays and blocks. But remember, Saturn is always a teacher, though. So in all this positivity and lightness with Gemini, the semi-sextiles, well, a little bit of the semi-square with Jupiter and the new moon, we're feeling overall rather easy breezy, you could say. But on the one hand, then we've got Saturn, a little bit of a debilitator, making a wide square to Mercury, the communicator, and the depositor of the new moon in Gemini. So that kind of sort of puts a little bit of a delay and frustration and all this positivity. It's like we're going along, everything's feeling great. Maybe we're spending a little bit more money than we should. Finally, we're uncovering some mysteries or some secrets. People are being basically pretty honest right now, and all of that good stuff. But then you've got Saturn square Mercury. So it's like, well, I'm feeling great. Everything looks good, but this kind of adds a little bit, yes, of a damper here. We gotta get not to get caught up in some negativity or pessimistic thinking. So that's kind of some words of wisdom here. Just go with the flow. Go with the positive. Go with those goals that you have in mind that you're really fixated with. Mars and Taurus almost obsessed with. That's it, but it's in a good way. Feel that sense of, hey, everything's going along well with relationships and honesty and all that. So you don't want to get caught up in, well, I'm feeling good, but hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to reach that goal right now. Or, um, I really want to move forward with these plans, but it looks like some of the meetings that I might have are being delayed. So that makes me to believe that maybe this business won't get off the ground, or something like that. So you want to keep a positive attitude. Don't let the delays or setbacks of Mercury and Saturn by a square get you down. It's all about going with the flow, communicating well with others, and just keep in mind if there is some delay here or there's some blocks, then know that sooner than later that the positive is going to turn things around. So, and Saturn, as aforementioned, is always a wise teacher. So there's something to learn, and maybe there's something meant to be in all these delays or just a tad bit of frustration wherever this square is in your chart. Saturn always asks us to be patient. And that is the lesson here between Saturn square Mercury. Be patient. Whatever there is to learn, take a lesson in wisdom from that. Yes. And uh, yes, we've got 13 degrees, Saturn in Aries, making, I guess you could say, yes, here also a bit of a wide sextile to Mars, the planet of action. So that kind of reiterates, as I was saying earlier, about really focusing on our goals. So the kind of the tone here of the chart is, be positive, focus your obsessive goals, aspirations, objectives on what you want, on you. And that's what the chart is saying is focus on you. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you need. It's saying be productive in relationships with other people. It's about opening up and finally being honest. And if there are some delays, then we're really going to have to just see the best in a situation. Now, we also have, which is really nice here, we have that beautiful trine between Uranus and, yes, retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. That's extremely inventive, very creative. So we're going to find a lot of genius, brilliant minds right now with this wonderful trine between Uranus, the inventor, and also the depositor of Pluto at 5 degrees retrograde Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about the future, and I can't say it enough. It's about tech, it's about AI, it's about brilliant minds coming together. And what else is Uranus? It's about our humanity. And Uranus is about our inventiveness. As I said, it's the depositor of Pluto, the powerhouse. So this is really positive about discussions about the future. And because we're talking Uranus in Gemini, which is all about people and it's all about us having discussions, and Pluto in Uranus is all about our humanity. Don't be surprised if right now with this wonderful trine between Uranus and Pluto, there's a lot of like groupthink, a lot of people coming together and really wanting to open up and relate to each other. It's kind of very social. This is a very air sign social connection between Pluto and Uranus, very much so. We really want to kind of reach out, kind of see the other person's point of view. Yes, very humane, very social, very much about groupthink and all of that. It's very connected also with the public because this is air signs, so it's very intellectual, and so it's good now because we are having a lot of intellectual, uh, yet logical and detached communications about our future, about, I'd say, our feelings to some degree, but very logically, not really emotional. And one good thing here, remember, Pluto is about the powers that be. Now, I'm not saying suddenly the powers that be are going to get a conscience if there's been some negativity, but it is positive. It kind of helps us to open up and relate to each other, kind of maybe in a way of our mind, really kind of, say, okay, we need to talk about things and see how we can make corrections. So, this connection with Gemini and, of course, Pluto, the powerhouse, is very good. It's very good also with those that are in authority because it really kind of changes the game a little bit from maybe authorities acting too stifling or restrictive to now saying, okay, let's talk, let's release information. And that's another thing here, kind of as I mentioned on the last forecast, and I believe the one before that, the new moon in Taurus, full moon in Sagittarius, but especially much more so with the new moon in Gemini. It's all about the third house, and third house is about information. And remember, Neptune right now is much clearer in, I guess you could say, really putting out positive truth because of this trine between Venus and Neptune. So right now it seems like I'm getting the tone of this chart, this new moon chart. It's kind of about a release of that information. And so it's not just personal. Yes, in our own life, there may be truth, getting to the bottom of things. People are being really straight up. That's very refreshing. But it's about the release of, like, maybe paperwork. Yes, documents of some kind with this Gemini connection. And I might add, unexpectedly so, with this time that Uranus, a long time, is in Gemini. And we're talking the powers that be with Pluto, even retrograde in Aquarius. So that kind of leads me to believe at this time there's going to be a lot of information kind of coming out from the past, like we're going to have an aha moment, like, wow, epiphany, I can't believe this was concealed, this was hidden from us, now we know the truth. And that's the beauty of this new moon and this beautiful trine between Pluto retrograde and Uranus. Really positive, even between the trine between Venus and Neptune. Oh, we're so clear headed, so clear minded now. And even to some degree, Uranus and Venus making a beautiful sextile. So, this is a really feel good chart. There is a little bit of some uncertainty with Saturn in Aries here. Uh, and also keep in mind we have the sextile between Neptune and Pluto, also outer planets, which only kind of adds to this party here between Pluto and Uranus trine. Now we've got Neptune and Pluto sextile. So these are kind of outer planets. So this kind of leads me to believe it's not just a personal thing with us, but this is more of a universal vibe, so to speak. And it's kind of a humane vibe. And with the Neptune trine and sextiles and all this, kind of leads me to believe that we're going in a direction of truth. I can't say that enough. Truth, straightforward, honesty, all of that. And the new moon in Gemini kind of kicks that off, so to speak. It's all about really finding, how can I say, better ways of relating to each other, better ways of really finding a positive outlook in our communications with each other universally, personally. We will have to watch with this Mars and Taurus here, but as I said, it really does not receive much in the way of any kind of negative connections here, which is really positive. You get it's kind of there's a positive connection with Mars and Mercury that helps us to really find ways of negotiating with each other and really finding ways to really say what we have to say without being offensive. So that's a positive. Mars and Jupiter, which of course is in Cancer, barely there. So this is also connected with home and family. This is also going to be a highlight with Mars and Jupiter. There may be some good news and during this time that Jupiter is in Cancer, even if barely so, with a connection with the stock market, money metals, investments, real estate, and so have you, and with the family connections. Before Jupiter finishes up in Cancer, this is a great time for renovation, repairs, buying, selling, and so forth. So these are all going to be in a positive direction, highlighted during this time of the new moon in Gemini. But yes, with this somewhat really wide out of sign connection between Jupiter and Venus, we really are wanting to show off our prosperity, generosity, affection, and all that. So this is all too good. And of course, the only little bit of a drawback here, kind of like with the Saturn square Mercury, is an opposition, somewhat of a wide opposition. Nonetheless, an opposition to Pluto. The only thing I would say about that, with very generous, very outwardly affectionate Venus in Leo, would be that there could be at times some power plays because we've got the uh, the power planet here of Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. So that kind of makes us dig in our heels a little bit. And it is, retrograde, although Venus is not. So there could be some just gentle power plays here. And as I said earlier, you got to watch a little bit of your speech here with this semi-square with the new moon and Mercury and so on. So there could be a little bit of some, just a tad speaking out of hand a little bit of those power plays in the relationships, even though it's a feel-good aspect. So I would say because of this opposition with Pluto, just tone down the need to be correct, the need to be right, the need to get the upper hand in relationships, because right now everything's kind of out there. and it's kind of making us feel like we're solving a long held unknown puzzle. And so, yes, in all charts, new moons, full moons, what have you, you're always going to find a little bit of the negative. So this is really not too major here, this opposition, but you want to back off of the being right routine. That's what I would advise. So overall, this is a really positive astrological new moon in Gemini. Take the good with the bad, and it will be a very effective and memorable new moon indeed. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact information is down below. I give one-on-one readings and written reports. Please subscribe to this channel and press the bell notification. Until next time, many, many blessings.